Hello, everyone. This is Devin, here to bring you DraftKings NFL DFS picks for the Super Bowl. For those new to the Sporty Mouth channel, I want to provide 4 DFS picks for GPP. The 4 DFS picks I provide are not the only option out there. Therefore, you do not hear an NFL player or DFS pick mentioned in the video does not mean they're not in play. Also, for this video, I will provide the projected total or over-under and the projected margin of victory, which is also called the spread. And for those new to the Sporty Mouth channel as well, when I present the players, I will start from the flex position and work my way up to captain. And as mentioned, I will only give 4 players, which includes the captain. We're going to take a look at the projected total or over-under of the Super Bowl game, of course, between the Chiefs and the Eagles. And as you can see on the screen, the projected total is 51 points. Now we're going to take a look at the spread. According to the spread, Philadelphia is favored to win the game by 1.5 points. My first DFS pick is Isaiah Pacheco of the Kansas City Chiefs. DraftKings salary $7,200. If Kansas City has any chance to run the ball with some effectiveness, Pacheco is going to be the player that must have a decent game. He's the player that's going to pound the football. Of course, for the Philadelphia Eagles, they are a little bit better than the Chiefs. Throughout the season, were 15th in the league in allowing rushing yards to the running back position at about 119 yards. And overall, they have allowed they were 16th in the league, allowing fantasy points to the running back position. But Pacheco, as I mentioned earlier, he has to have a solid running game. He's the one, if Kansas City is going to establish any type of run game, he's going to be the player, more so than most players. Other thing you will have to look out for is Edwards-Helaire is off the injured reserve. So with, again, Pacheco more than likely see the majority of the touches on the ground, Kansas City may find a way to get Helaire back into the position or get him into the game, get him some touches. And if that's the case, he is a dual threat. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a decent runner. But again, he's just coming off injury reserve. He may see a few touches, but the players that, if I'm going to have a player on my roster, Pacheco is going to be probably the main one. McKinnon is more of a player that I would say have, because he's a dual threat. He catches the football and runs the ball. But in his last couple of games, he's not been a player that they've thrown the ball to. And as stated, Pacheco, I think his last game he had 13 DraftKings points. Definitely he's going to make a good option if Kansas City's going to try to establish the run, or make the run effective enough for them to respect the run, so the play action pass will work every now and again. My next DFS pick, Miles Sanders of the Philadelphia Eagles. DraftKings salary $7,800. Sanders must contend with a defense that was 8th in the league in allowing rushing yards to the opposing running back. Sanders is a player that normally can catch the football out of the backfield. Hasn't been used like that a lot during this season, but has been a player in past seasons, been capable of catching the football out of the backfield. He finds his way into the end zone. He had 13 touchdowns on this season. The Chiefs, from a fantasy standpoint, was 18th in the league in allowing fantasy points to the running back position. Sanders can be up and down. Sometimes he'll show up and get you like 17, 20 DraftKings points. Game in itself is more than likely going to be probably a tough situation for him, because they are decent against the run. And I think this game is going to more than likely be a passing affair, with the projected total being at 51 points. That sometimes more than likely translate to there's going to be a lot of passing in this particular game. But Sanders, he is the main back for the Eagles. Gainwell, of course, will probably probably be the player that comes in, help with the run game. He's another player that can catch the football out of the backfield as well. So definitely, I'm going with Miles Sanders. Again, this is a game. There's not going to be any particularly sneaky picks per se. But I definitely think if you're going to establish the run, Miles Sanders is going to be the player that's going to see the majority of the touches, should be a decent player. It would be great if they start looking for him, but they haven't really done a lot of that throughout the season and passing him the football out of the backfield. But he is a capable receiver out of the backfield. He's definitely going to make a good option for your DraftKings lineups. My next stiff-ass pick, Devontae Smith of the Philadelphia Eagles. DraftKings salary, $8,600. Devontae Smith caught 95 passes this year, so he's had a solid season. And it definitely helps that A.J. Brown is a player that a lot of teams focus on for his defense, from a defensive standpoint. But definitely Devontae Smith is one of the better wide receivers on the team. Smith is facing a Kansas City squad who's 28th in the league and allowing fantasy points to the wide receiver position. So definitely he's going to make a decent option, considering that Kansas City, if they have a weakness for his defense, I'm not saying they get the greatest defense, then they can be exploited through the air. And with this game projected total, I expect a lot of passing from both sides of the football. And definitely Devontae Smith is going to be a benefactor if there's going to be a lot of passing. Should see more than a few targets throughout this game. And my last defense pick at the captain position, I got Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles, of course. Captain's DraftKings salary, $16,800. Jalen Hurts at the captain position is going to make a good option because of his ability to run the football. So he's going to have a nice solid floor. If he's able to get it going on the ground and he's shown that he's a decent passer, he's going to really definitely help your DraftKings lineups out at the captain position. Shown before that he can find the end zone with his feet, not scared to run the football, will run the football, but also is a player that finds targets like Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. And considering that he faced a San Francisco defense which was far better defense than Kansas City, he still will have to contend with that defensive line of Kansas City, which is not a slouch by any means. I think, again, he's going to make a very good option because of his ability to run the football, along with he's a decent passer. So he definitely is going to make a good option in that regard. I've always stated, dealing with daily fantasy sports of any sort, if you got players that has the skill set or several skill sets to score in several different ways, then he's definitely going to make a good option. Now, I'm going to give you a second lineup. I know I didn't mention that in the intro there, but I'm going to give you a second lineup. There are only so many, and also I plan to give a few shorts. So definitely there's going to be a few lineups coming from the Sporty Mouth channel. But for this video, I'm going to give you a second lineup. If I have a player from that second lineup that was mentioned in this particular lineup, I'm not going to give like a detailed analysis of any sort. I'm just going to analyze the new players that hadn't been mentioned. Okay, so I'm going to clear these out and give you a second lineup. Here we go with the second lineup. I'm going to start with Gainwell of the Eagles. As you see on the screen, his DraftKings size is $5,000. Gainwell is a player that can catch the ball out of the backfield. He is a decent runner. Probably not going to see as many touches as Miles Sanders, but he is a capable runner and definitely likes his ability to catch the football out of the backfield. So definitely why I'm going to make a recommendation in this particular lineup. Next player on the screen, you see Goddard of the Eagles. He's a player that sees some targets. He's a solid tight end. Kansas City's 14th in the league, allowing fantasy points to the tight end position. As stated, Jalen Hurts looks for a Goddard. Can find an end zone. Last game, he had 6 targets. Again, definitely going to make a solid option because I do expect this game to have a lot of passing involved. He's going to be a player that, again, Hurts looks for. And the next player on the screen, we got Travis Kelce. Kelce is a player, is considered to be the best wide receiver in the league, possibly, arguably, has the best quarterback in the league throwing him the football. And that's how it's going to roll in the Super Bowl. I think in order for Kansas City to be effective to win this game or have a chance of winning the game, because also they're projected by, actually Philadelphia is projected to win the Super Bowl by a small margin. But with Kelsey, I think he has to have a big game in order for the Kansas City Chiefs to really have a chance of winning. He's a player that Mahomes looks for in the red zone. He's just a solid tight end. Definitely should make a great option. And, of course, we see on the screen we got Patrick Mahomes at the captain position. Mahomes is considered to be one of the better quarterbacks in the league, if not the best in the league. He finds a way to win. It's always going to be a question since his injury, his ankle injury, can he play through, as he did last week, play through any pain that he may suffer throughout the game? That's always going to be a factor, considering that everybody knows he's not 100%. Will that injury prevent him from playing the football that we know he's capable of? He overcame it last week. He's going to have to do it this week to give Kansas City a chance. When he's on his game, Mahomes, he's going to find Travis Kelce. He's going to find several different wide receivers in the wide receiving core. He's just that type of player. He will run the ball every now and then, but it's not always. He's a player that finds a way to get the ball to his players. He's facing a defense that, again, is not shabby at getting at the quarterback and defending the pass. Philly's been the number one team in the league in allowing passing yards at 171 yards. So the defense, again, is solid against the pass. But, again, Mahomes is a player that can overcome great defense. That's why I'm recommending him now, because he is a player that's capable of overcoming a great defense. But it's always something to consider regarding his injury and how he can play through that injury that he has for the ankle. I hope everybody found this information helpful. These are my DraftKings NFL DFS picks for the Super Bowl. Please like the video, subscribe to the Sporty Mouth channel. Take care. For anyone looking to save time building their lineups, you might want to try Draft Dashboard. As you can see on the screen, you get a 30-day trial to play around with Draft Dashboard, see how you like it. Definitely a decent option if you're looking to save time and if you build a lot of various lineups. And if you're looking to utilize Draft Dashboard for your lineups, there will be a link in the video description for you to check it out. Take care.